So I guess this is a screw critics movie.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don J. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. This movie review is going to be for another new release that came out the very same weekend Scream 6 came out. And this is for a film done by the very writer of A Quiet Place and stars Adam Driver. This was for a film that was hardly really promoted at all. And this film is going to be for none other than this previous weekend's 65. I forget the director of this movie, but I know it stars Adam Driver. Oh, wait. Scott Beck and Brian Woods directed this, and Sam Raimi did co-produce this. So yeah, let's get on with what the plot is. Well, after a catastrophic crash on an unknown planet, Pilot Millis quickly discovers he's actually stranded on Earth 65 million years ago. Now with only one chance at rescue, Mills and the only other survivor Cole must make their way across an unknown terrain riddled with dangerous prehistoric creatures in an epic fight to survive and get back. How was this film made? Well, in September 2020, Adam Driver signed on to star in this film, and it was to be produced, written, and directed by Beck and Woods. Sam Raimi would co-produce, was Zainab Azizi and Debbie Levine. And then 2 months later, Adrienne Greenblatt joined the cast. And then December 2020, Chloe Coleman joined the cast. Principal photography was then expected to begin on November 16, 2020 in New Orleans, and eventually beginning by December 7, 2020. The filming also occurred in the Camas National Forest in Vernon Parish, Louisiana in January 2021, being halfway into production by January 16. Wrapping up on February 21st, 2021. The visual effects were created by Framestore and Ghost VFX, with Chris Harvey serving as a visual effects supervisor. Then shot with a budget of $91 million. The final cost of the film was $45 million after tax rebates. Then in February 2021, it was announced that Danny Elfman was composing the score for the film and had previously collaborated with Raimi on his directional projects, like the Spider-Man trilogy. So after the film was shot and marketed, 65 would go on to be released in the United States last weekend on March 10th, 2023 by Sony Pictures Releasing, and has, received some bad reviews from critics. Ouch. And did not do so well on its opening weekend, with about $12 million. Well, as for my reaction, here's the thing. I remember the trailer releasing not too many months before its release, and when it said it was by the writers of A Quiet Place, that kind of did get my attention because I do love the Quiet Place movies. They're probably one of the few best modern horror films out there in recent years. But I had no idea what this movie was supposed to even be about. However, I then randomly saw the movie today, like how my day went. I got up, did a 30-minute Peloton bike ride class, had some Honey Bunch of Oats cereal, banana, green juice for breakfast, then chilled for a little bit, and I went and saw this movie. And I did not get popcorn this time. I actually snuck in my Burger King lunch into the theater. I found a way to sneak it. Yeah, guys, there's a lot of times where I sneak food into the theater. Sometimes it's a little more affordable. But anyway, I was originally going to see it yesterday, but some better plans came up that night, so I decided to see it today instead. So, just got back from seeing the movie, and I have to say, I think I enjoyed this slightly better than most critics, or even IMDb themselves did, or even quite a few people did. I mean, it's not perfect, but it was a decent enough time for sure. I don't think it was terrible, like so many people seem to call it. The story does borrow a bit from the mentioned properties, but manages to still maintain an independent feel. It's still written and has ambitious visions put forth, and the scenery and visuals are epic in every sense of the word. Adam Driver showcases that he can be the main man in a large-scale action film, which is very unexpected but welcome. The creature design to me is to stand out in what I show up for. Like, it even kind of somewhat blows the Jurassic World trilogy out of the water in that face, as well as the incredible action. And it wasn't everything I hoped it would be, but the acting was fantastic. Special effects were top tier, and the story was good for a predictable sci-fi film. Adam Driver even does an incredible job and helps immensely with the sci-fi suspense. And I'll get to that in a bit. All in all, it often would be a movie that I obviously going to be forgotten over the years, but I think it kind of deserves the appreciation and recognition right now. And let me summarize that the movie has relatively good special effects and good acting, especially Adam Driver. Yeah, I know Adam Driver played Kylo Ren in the sequel Trashology, but here's the thing though. I actually do like Adam Driver as an actor. I liked Marriage Story. I did like House of Gucci. So, actually ignoring that trilogy, which I don't blame on him at all. In fact, I don't think he deserves to be blamed for that, for how Kylo Ren's written at all. Absolutely not. I actually do like him in plenty of other projects. I'm glad that he's finally getting the time to shine for once. Now, in actually better movies. And it proves it because House of Gucci, Marriage Story, the films I've liked from him the most. We also even see some interesting action and complex adventures similar to routine Hollywood films. It is key and important production, which I think really managed to achieve its goal to a large extent. And like I said before, Adam Driver is fantastic in this movie. Despite the simplistic and somewhat predictable narrative, he's still engaging to watch as this desperate man is trying to survive and rescue the only other survivor, a young foreign girl. And even props to Ariana Greenblatt for pulling off a helpless girl with a language opposite of the lead and still having good chemistry. I really like their chemistry. I really liked him and the Adam Driver and the girl's chemistry together. Despite they don't speak the same language. Sometimes they really pulled it off well. Adam Driver's character has his daughter he's lost. And he sees that Ariana Greenblatt's character kind of has some of those moments his daughter had and stuff. He kind of had to miss his own daughter's life and stuff. And I really liked their screen time together as well. I think that was probably the best part of their characters. 65 definitely could have used a few more dino-focused set pieces to make it really fun, but with a tight 90-minute runtime, simple premise, and a really good double act of final set pieces, it remains a good time, but thankfully doesn't squander a premise this interesting. Adam Driver shows he's just as good in these kind of films as he is in these usual dramatic roles. An effortlessly convincing action star is Bomb with Ariana Greenblatt is believable. Things are dynamic more than anything on the page. For what the film wants to be, a survival horror thriller, it can hardly be condemned. It's suspenseful. I was even emotionally invested in the chemistry between the two characters. I like the acting of both of them. The plot is mundane, and the character sketch remains fairly superficial, but it's enough to make me grow fond of both of them and root for them. Both suffer tragic losses in life and have a lot in common. But the plot is unfortunately also predictable in many places. The one or other moments surprised me and went differently than I would have expected, though. The logic in this film can be questioned here and there. For example, the ammunition display of Mills's rifle does not decrease at all in the beginning, and he shoots a lot with it. At the end of the final battle, the ammunition gauge suddenly melts away from full to empty. Another criticism is that the famous comet can be seen in the sky both during the day and at night, which is completely illogical since the Earth rotates. Either he has to be seen in the day or at night, but both is not possible. And the horror scenes are even well done and are oppressive. But unfortunately, the film doesn't make enough to use it as a scary factor. And there are also some jump scares here and there, but they could have been done without because I'm not a fan of them. You can just scare almost anyone, but creating real creepiness is much more interesting. I'm more of a fan of like creepy atmosphere than scary moments. And often, the movie kind of gets even billed too much as a crash on a planet millions of years in the past and all the challenges that situation would bring, but 65 really delivers on the premise. Like, we discovered that along the way that on Mother Nature's food chain, and back then we would have certainly been at the bottom during the time of the dinosaurs, but sprinkle in a few lighter moments, even laughable, the only thing the movie really misses is a bit of believability. That on the moment intro into title screens, but more on that, like in a moment, like... And like Beck and Woods' earlier writing effort, A Quiet Place, 65 is a surprisingly small-scale thriller that both simple ideas have familiar themes. While I do think the former was crafted in considerably more skill and had a more polished, tight script, the latter is still pretty effective at what it sets out to do. While we're granted some rough, clumsy exposition and an overly long setup at the film's start, once the journey actually begins, it's rather exciting until its end. And I love that Mills and Cole spoke different languages, and thus had to communicate mostly non-verbally, and added a great deal of weight to their interactions that emphasizes how much trust and emotion can be built and shared without words. And many small character moments are shown through the film, and they do end up building on a sweet, heartfelt conclusion, but Beck and Woods' script just didn't really tie these individual moments together very well. And the movie does have a bit of a rocky start, but after that admittedly rocky start with some bizarre editing choices, the movie picks up the pace once Driver crash lands to Earth and meets Koa. Koa and Driver form a pretty adorable bond, especially through their attempts at communicating that could lead to some pretty funny scenarios. I'm pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed their chemistry. The relationship through the film was a big part of my enjoyment of it. Like... Alright, well, let's go think. But if you are going to see this movie, you're probably going to go for the dinosaur action and more. Do you get it? Well, it's both yes and both no. There's a fair amount of dinosaur action in the movie, definitely. Adam Driver does get plenty of opportunities to blow dinos to bits with his futuristic rifle, and it's pretty entertaining to watch. However, a lot of the action does take place in the nighttime, which really does frustrate me because, as you can imagine, it means a lot of the action was obscured by the darkness. I know it's a strategic move on the studio's part to save money, but dear God, would it kill them to shell out a bit more cash so I can watch dinosaurs get blown to pieces in the daylight? This is by no means an action fest either, like it seems to be marketed as. There's just a lot of character building between Driver and Koa. More than one night might expect if we're being honest, which can slightly take away from the momentum, but the amount of action this movie contains did satisfy my sci-fi cravings, even though I wouldn't have minded a bit more violence. The screenplay did also need some work to clean up the often wooden dialogue and to build a thread that the movie's individual scenes could follow. Because of how simple this film's plot is, it really shouldn't feel like it's meandering as much as it is. And honestly, another thing, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I felt like the CGI was better than most recent Marvel projects. That might not be the hardest to achieve, but there is that. The dinosaurs were pretty well realized and gave the movie a sort of Jurassic Park feel, and some parts were very intense. There are also no twists in the plot of the movie, and it just follows a straight line. Not sure why this plot would need to be a movie, but not sure if it is a drama or sci-fi thriller, documentary, action movie. But you already know everything what's going to happen. Otherwise, acting, BGM, and thrilling scenes are good. Like, if you're an Adam Driver fan, you can enjoy seeing him in every scene. Science behind the movie was not well defined, but could have explained more about the space travel, and science behind why they look exactly like humans. There's some rather daughter sentiment scenes which feel just... Sometimes they work, and sometimes they feel just okay. And other than that, the movie doesn't really utilize its concept that well with the battle of scientific technology and prehistoric creatures. There are also only a few instances where you can see them use strategy and the use of various gadgets to take them down. And while those scenes are fun, it's very little throughout the movie. And here comes some other bad qualities too. Like, first off, the movie maybe could have been 20 minutes longer because I did not feel like only 93 minutes was maximum enough for this story. The movie also suffers some pretty poor production values and mediocre visual effects. The spaceship looks like a generic sci-fi set with nothing distinctive or memorable. And the dinosaurs even look like they're a little poorly rendered and look fake and cartoonish. And there wasn't much to the story at all, and the two characters that we see for 99% of the movie don't speak the same language, so there's hardly any dialogue. Well, then again, this is from the guys who made A Quiet Place, so I guess it could be expected. And just imagine you and one other person who doesn't speak the same language being stranded on Earth 65 million years ago and trying to help each other not get eaten by dinosaurs. Oh yeah, and coincidentally, you happen to have crash landed there about 48 hours before a planet-killing asteroid is scheduled to impact the planet. And the dino CGI sometimes just looks like a video game, and it didn't really fit in with the background. And there's a scene to save some budget. They just focus on the camera and a holographic gadget, and it didn't feel like cute and right. And the premise did seem okay. Well, the marketing does imply that this was a human or astronaut, meaning there would be a time travel element. No, he's just an alien from 65 million years ago. Not like one who's absolutely human as lazy writing would make him. And the screenplay also needed some work to clean up the often witted dialogue and to build a thread that the movie's individual scenes could follow. Because of how simple this film's plot is, it really shouldn't feel like it's meandering as much as it is. But what I mostly came for is what some people likely just came for was the dinosaur action. But like I said earlier, guys, it takes really a long time to get to these parts. When they do come, they are worth the wait. Like each dinosaur encounter is unique to how it's dangerous and how it can be handled, which kept the action fresh. And each of these sequences is also appropriately directed, and with the characters' positions made clear and their peril understood. So, other than those bad qualities, I hate to say it, guys, but I thought 65 was a pretty neat time to turn off your brain and decently enjoy. And yes, guys, I actually liked this better than Scream 6. Right? I thought this was better than Scream 6. It was actually nice to see a not woke dinosaur feature for once and just be a normal film this time around. So I'm glad we didn't get any stupid woke crap in here. So that's all this was just a simple turn off your brain and enjoy feature, regardless of what the critics think of it. I don't think it's like 29 or 37% levels of bad, or 5.7 out of 10 levels of bad, like IMDb seems to call it. Everyone's like, this movie is boring, there's nothing going on in this movie. Well, sorry guys, but I thought this was better than a lot of you seem to call it. Way better. So, in the end, while I do kind of recommend 65, maybe you should probably just stream this one because it is no masterpiece, and you do kind of have to turn off your brain to enjoy this film. Anyway, that's it for my review of 65, and we're not going to rank 65. Here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you love dinosaur movies and want to see a simple turn-off-your-brain movie, then I would recommend streaming this one online to be safe. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank 65, I'm going to give 65 a 7 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review for 65, and now within a day, I'm going to be seeing and reviewing Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So, yeah, so far, it's about time a new release is not a rant or semi-rant for once. But yeah, I just was able to turn my brain off and just have a decent time with this film. But until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.